All right, here we go.
You're up.
All right, Mayor. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me again. I apologize for my tardiness. I just was coming from a new educator, what is it called? New educators breakfast with they don't feed yet, by the way, if you're thinking about food. They didn't feed us. New welcome back breakfast. So I appreciate you. I'm a little bit off my game because all my notes for this meeting are at City Hall. And so we're going to wing it a little bit if that's okay with you. A couple things that we have going in Pocatello that I think is worthy of noting is our budget season is up and it's been going. It's been difficult at best to get a council behind anything, and so, or half of the council behind anything. It only takes 4, and so we're able to move forward because we have 4, but we will be passing our ordinance Thursday night. I anticipate that passing without on a 3-3 vote, and then I'll break the tie on that. But the ordinance is pretty good. We are taking, if I remember right, going to end up taking 1.69, 1.76, something like that, percent of the 3% allowed by law, and so we are anticipating doing that. But that should happen, it should go off without a glitch on Thursday. We will see how it works, but I'm pretty confident that's the case. We are still down a CFO. He's working part-time for us so we can get the L2 done and get the paperwork that we need to get done. But other than that, I have to thank the commissioners and Christy for her help with our budgeting process. Jason, our clerk as well. With that, the two of them came over and really were helpful. Very, very helpful. In fact, I don't know if it'd be where we are without them. So I've got to make sure we thank them for that. So thank you very much with that. That being said, we have some interesting things happening at City Hall right now when it comes to the COVID-19 and the Delta variant and stuff. And so as you probably know, I've mandated that we have masks in city facilities. A part of the motion when they went away from the mask mandate in the city of Pocatello was if we have 15 per 10,000 people, 15 cases per 10,000, I'm supposed to, for 14 consecutive days, I am to call a meeting to discuss having a mask mandate again. That 14 days will conclude on the 23rd. So a week from yesterday, if we don't have, if those numbers don't drop, then we will convene a meeting, and I fully anticipate the council will put another mandate in for masks throughout the city on the 24th. It'll be interesting if they don't, but it'll be interesting if they do as well. So it's just prepare for that, because you're going to hear some of the blowback, I'm sure of it. That's what happens when the county does something. The city of Pocatello hears it. When the city of Pocatello does something, the county hears it, and I just don't want you to be blindsided. If by chance we can get those numbers to drop, even for a day to 14.9, then the 14 days start all over again. And so I'm hoping that it's a pretty feeble hope right now that will happen. So that's a few of the things that we have going and coming up that I can think of right off the top of my head that I want to make sure that you were aware of. We have a developer that's looking to de-annex from the city of Chubbuck, looking to annex into the city of Pocatello. City of Chubbuck is really giving them a hard time over that. It's kind of interesting that they would take the stance that they are, because when they're in their land grab, they were saying if a person that owns land wants to be somewhere, then we need to let them be there and not resist it. And so we'll do that. Well, now we have somebody that wants to leave the city of Chubbuck and come into the city of Pocatello, and they're fighting it like crazy.
So do you have your lawyers working on that?
They're right now we're doing everything that they've asked for.
So they've asked us for a letter. We provided one last October, and now they want one to deal with utilities.
Yeah.
And so we'll probably have our chief civil deputy send a letter on our behalf because they wanted a letter stating that we would give them permission to run utilities or allow city water to come across our ground. And for us, we would let anybody do that going down the road easement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we don't really know what they're asking for.
And we have the water, well, they're trying, that's the thing, is they're trying to stop anything. They're really, truly throwing every wall up that they can. And we have a water line that runs right through the soccer fields and stuff that I think the city of Pocatello and the county needs to discuss ownership of that. And if we can get ownership of it, if that's going to make it easier for them to develop that, then by all means we would jump all over that.
Well, and there's some things that I think in that area, just in the discussion, the sewer line that went down Fairground Road, that's not the city of Chubbuck, that's the city of Pocatello's water,
right.
or sewer line.
Yeah.
And that water line up top, because that is the big one.
That's right.
Not only that piece of ground down there, there are some other pieces of ground even inside the county area that are much smaller than the soccer. But if facilities or anything was ever done, they would probably need water as well.
Absolutely.
So there's a discussion that we should probably have.
We need to have a discussion there. It'd be nice for the city to maybe possibly own that, but with the agreements that when the county needs it, that they can hook onto it and make it happen. That way the upgrades are done and things are taken care of that way. But it's just been interesting to watch them. Their latest, I understand, is it's going to be cheaper for them to bore under the freeway and hook up to the sewer in Chubbuck instead of hook up to the sewer line right there.
Yeah, I heard that one as well, and my eyes about went through the back of my head as they rolled.
Yeah, so anyway, there's just some things that are just interesting that the Chubbuck is doing. But they definitely are prepared. Chubbuck wants them to wait for 2 years until they start that Flying Y construction, and the state will bore a hole for them, allegedly, but the state says they're not going to do that.
Yeah, the state's not going to. The state's not going to do that.
And so there's a number of issues that we've got to get through. But there's another landowner that is contemplating in de-annexing again from Chubbuck and into Pocatello because they can't provide the services. And so it'll be interesting to see that fight happen as well.
Okay.
While we're talking about infrastructure, we talked once about maybe a sewer line up on the Barton Road area.
Barton Road
Yeah.
area.
Would you be interested in entertaining a discussion about using some of our ARPA funds maybe to do some infrastructure like?
A great question, Commissioner. After we had that discussion before, we've gone back, and the answer to that is absolutely would be interested in a discussion to see what it looks like. There's a movement's the wrong word, but there's been a suggestion that we take all of the ARPA funds that the city of Pocatello gets and sewers Johnny Creek, and then does what are they called? What are they called? The taxing entity for the sewer district?
A sewer district?
No, it's not a sewer district, but it's
It's a improvement fund, an improvement district.
Yeah, an improvement, I forget the name of it.
Look at me and I'm drawing blank.
I know, I'm looking at you because I always look at the finance guy when.
As a taxpayer of the city of Pocatello, I have a real hard time with that because the issue is those people that live up there, and this has been brought to them multiple times, if it is such a problem, they need to form the improvement district, they need to pay the taxes, they need to do it. It is not my responsibility for living on 16th Street to take care of their mess.
Well, and that's what my thing is said. What I've been very consistent in saying is, look, it's not fair for me in the Alameda area, or you on 16th, or somebody on the West Bench to pay for sewer in the Johnny Creek area, it's been a problem for decades. It's going to be a problem probably for decades because they don't want to pay for that. I get it, it's expensive. But it also is going to need to happen because their home values are going to plummet because you can't flush.
Yeah.
I don't know what a home value does when you have a
Back to
$500,000 house, but you have to go to the outhouse. I don't know what that does to the value. I'm not an assessor.
Well, and I'm all for helping run main lines or looking at stuff like that,
Absolutely.
but not hooking up everybody's houses.
No,
That is not the.
And I think that's, some of the money would be wide spent there to do that. But we've got some efficiencies. We've got a few blocks up in the Highland area that goes from 12-inch to 8-inch to 12-inch. I don't know why they reduced it and then bounced back up, but they did. It's a few blocks. We've got a sewer line and some infrastructure opportunities on American Road that could be beneficial
That's that Barton Road.
for things. And the intent is to keep less septics out than more septics, and we've got the ability to do some of those things.
Well, it's like that American Road. The problem is if there isn't a sewer and water, then they stay in the county, but then we would have this weird BLM on the backside. And so the only way the sheriffs and those guys could get to it if they ever got called is you'd have to go down and into the city and then back into the county. For us to plow the roads, we'd have to send everything through the city, and then, and so it makes no sense to how they want to do it.
It's kind of a odd place.
Yep.
But it's something that we need to have the discussion on. So yes, the answer is absolutely, we would do that.
Yeah, what we're probably gonna do is in the next couple of weeks, bring all the cities together.
Okay.
We approached Chubbuck about some stuff out on the north end and
All right.
now, and so just talk about generally speaking, what we could do, what we could look at,
Yeah.
what you guys are willing to do, what we're willing to do.
Yeah. We, at the city council level, we haven't had the discussion at all right now, other than we've got, I believe the city has been awarded $10.6 million, I think. Maybe 10.1 million, but it's not a lot of money, but I can't believe I said $10 million isn't a lot of money. But quite frankly, you can take $10 million and chew it up in one project, very, very quickly, so.
Well, and that's the whole thing. That's why we're looking at, the county has about 17 is what we were given. And that's why I say is if we can look at it, we can, hey, what is beneficial to the county, the cities, and can we have a partnership in doing this?
Yeah.
The big thing that I really look at is how can we do things that open ground, provides growth, and helps bring down some of the housing costs. And the only way to bring down housing costs is with an increase in supply.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, there's no question.
And right now.
Well, you're not gonna bring them down, though.
Yeah.
No.
Once they go up, they're not coming down.
You'll-
We can
you'll
slow
just-
the increase, but they're not going back down.
You'll just get more available than 17 on the market.
That's right.
That's
That's
what we're
right.
trying to do.
That's exactly right. Other than that, the Northgate area is going like crazy. If you haven't seen that lately, go take a look. It's growing.
Looking good.
It's gonna just keep growing. There's the plan to build quite a few other things in the Northgate area, so that's.
Those
next few years, that's
apartments
gonna
that are
change.
being built right there, we need to pass some kind of, the city needs to pass like a concert tax for that back road.
I know. Well, I was thinking, really, quite frankly, I need to just rent that one. There's one spot that would be the going into the concert. It drops like this. The berms drop down, and there's one spot that you'd straight out.
Yep.
Straight out. Although I will tell you, the last concert last week, I wasn't able to attend it, so I was driving down Venture Way there, just behind right by next to those, and I rolled the window down. You can't hear it very good, so it's not. The tax would be okay, but it just wouldn't be much of
It's not much.
a value.
One thing I would bring attention to, there's been a lot of misnomers and understandings, and quite frankly, people that really don't understand how TIF districts work, and a lot of misinformation that's being spread in the media about a certain individual wrote an article how the Northgate area is failing and the TIF is failing and there's no TIF plan. Right now, as I've pulled up the GIS for the county, and I can pull and start to look at some of the land that went from being, $1,700 an acre to now I'm looking at a certain piece of property that's 17 acres and it's worth 3.4 million just for the ground.
For the ground, yeah.
And so, yes, the Northgate project is working. It is moving. There is value in increment above the original base. Yeah, it's probably going a little bit slower than what it originally did because we had this thing called COVID in the middle.
That's right. We had a solid year of global pandemic.
You know, and it is kind of concerning to myself to watch maybe some of the actions of individuals that appear to be purposeful to sabotage that project.
Sure.
And as a taxpayer, that's very frustrating.
Well, it's frustrating because that very individual has been very vocal about how we should go away from any and all of that stuff. Unfortunately, we have Great Western Malting is another great example of this that had we had a few people that would work with others and stuff. Great Western Malting right now would be doubling in size again, which would be, just to show you what that is, what they did was doubled in size before, $380 million of annual increase to the community and the state, 50,000 more acres of barley, 350 plus trucking jobs, 40 jobs local, and then we would double that yet again. So you'd be looking at 100,000 acres of barley, probably 700 jobs. I mean, something that literally helps the entire state.
Yep.
But they've decided to expand another facility somewhere else.
Yep.
Because of that negative discussion.
I had some developers that flew in from Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and I went to pick them up out at the airport, and the first thing they said when they got in is, "What is going on with your city council?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And the guy holds out his cell phone after searching Pocatello, and it talks about the debacle in budget. And he said, "Just so you know, you guys got to get a hold of that because that makes guys like us not want to come here."
Yeah.
And that's the problem is we can have disagreements, and our board we have disagreements, but you gotta, we have a very awesome place here, and when we have this kind of dysfunctional family going on, it doesn't help anything.
No. We're moving forward. We're going to continue to move it forward as quickly as we can, and hopefully we can stay on track.
Good. That's all I had.
I will not be at PDA tomorrow.
Neither will I.
I will be in Boise. We are working on the Association of Counties is starting to work on local options.
Oh.
So what our approach that we're probably going to look down is trying to figure out a way to pay for the courthouses, operations in the courts and jails, and if we could do that similar to the property tax relief that sunset 2009. So it would be a limited commodities. It's like your fuel, your hospitality, your alcohol. There's one other thing that we're looking at. And the whole thing is then that way it would help bring in half the money has to go to the operation of the jail and the courts, and then the other half of the money is direct buy down into property taxes for the areas to do that. And so we're starting up with a group because Moyle and those guys are on the warpath already again, and they're talking about coming out. It just never seems enough with those guys.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It's interesting right now. The state has $1.4 billion worth of excess reserves. It wouldn't be a bad thing for them to drop some money down, spend that down if you want a real true tax relief.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
Well, the thing that's frustrating is every dollar that is collected in tax, in sales tax in Bannock County, 11 cents stays in Bannock County.
Yeah.
The other part goes. And
But you're not smart enough to spend the money here.
We can't do that.
You've got to look at them to tell you how to spend your money. That's the important piece.
And the
Is this on record? Would you please send this to?
I totally.
Moyle?
Yeah. Well, today it's not. Today it's not on the. It's. Okay.
Okay.
I will straight
Good.
say that, Mr. Moyle, please quit this and pay attention.
Exactly. Good.
Good.
I like it.
But so that's what we're working on. We'll start. We're hoping to have some kind of legislation put together. We do have some members of the House and Senate that are willing to discuss it, so we'll hope that get the cities behind it too. Like I said, if we could at least get the jail part paid for and courts, magistrate, district court, and the operation of the courthouse itself just taken care of. That seemed to be one when that bill was in place, that did help property taxes in all municipalities.
Yeah, it definitely would, it definitely would.
Because then it becomes too difficult trying to play the tax game, because if one city's charging taxes different, if you do it at the county level, then gas stations in Chubbuck can't undercut gas stations in Wichita.
Yeah, and vice versa. You know, and I might just mention one thing too. I have, this last legislative session, education really came under attack. And I have worked with, I've actually called one meeting I called with businesses, large businesses up and down the I-15 corridor from Rexburg to Pocatello. 3 ISU, the president of ISU, president of College of Eastern Idaho, Idaho Falls, and the dean of students for University of Idaho in Idaho Falls branch. Had a meeting with everybody to talk about education and what it's really doing to our state with the continued bickering and continued attacks towards education. And so we've started those meetings. We'll continue to do some of those meetings because it's interesting, and I think it's good, and I do hope that Representative Moyle's watching and a few other people are watching, that the real cost to doing business is they don't talk about taxes. I've never one time been asked about what's your tax rate in Pocatello. They always talk about what does your education look like. And the attack on education that happened this last year has cost Bannock County a number of opportunities, and I know it's cost the state a number of opportunities. So I've pulled together a group that we can have a discussion on that, and maybe have businesses, because sometimes when government goes and tells people that, it doesn't carry the same weight that a business carries. And so we've had that discussion with them. We'll have another one coming up, and then hopefully a third one before legislatures go back to Boise. I guess the House isn't completely there. They're not out of session right now. So,
you know, one of the things in education that I just pulled it to look at it is that we need to probably talk and discuss. We always talk about spending per pupil, and that the causation and correlation don't equal, because the one that spends the most is the District of Columbia, and they're the worst performing school district in the nation. One thing we really need to talk about is like our ACT and SAT performance. The state of Idaho is above the national average, but we do not require 100% participation in it.
yeah.
So we have a lot of kids that just don't take it. And the ones that do take it, we actually perform a couple points higher than the national average.
Yeah.
So that's something that always bothers me, is the test that shows how well your students do perform, but we don't encourage that. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to go to college. Everybody needs to do something to make themselves productive.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I wish that just in the education realm, I really do not like the overreach of the state, even though I have an issue with some of the topics that they pass in statewide things. I do not like it when they take control away from the locals.
The local, that's the concern, is the local control.
Yep. But the legislature, it's okay for them to do it, and to tell us how we need to have local control, other than when they just decide that
Because we don't really know what the people need.
we don't know what they want. Go ahead. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you for your time.
With,
Thank you.
with that, Art. Ernie? Yep.
I just, one thing we've talked about for quite a while and we haven't moved forward on is that 6th Street.
Oh, yes.
6th
Street.
Mayor, what's the feelings about it, or any concerns?
Not at all. My only concern is the county hasn't filled out the application to get it done.
Okay. I know one of them went in and something got kicked back, or something got not done. So we'll go.
Okay, yeah, let's.
I'm gonna make that my project.
Yeah,
move forward on it.
Do something. I'm all in favor of it, and it needs to be done. It's been vacated to the south. You go a couple blocks, it's been vacated to the north, there's no reason to have it.
It's vacated across the street.
The county needs, and it can be a good parking lot, or it can be a walkway, or a number of different things, but it needs to be vacated, so.
The big thing is just the safety aspect of it.
Yeah.
We've just had so many people that they think it's faster to turn right and then turn left, and then
Yeah, it doesn't make any
it doesn't make
sense.
sense. Ernie,
yeah.
do you have any more questions or anything?
No, I just thank you, Mayor, for all you're doing.
Yeah.
Battle's there. We appreciate your efforts and your leadership.
Thank you, Chairman, I appreciate you and the commission and everything that you do. I think we've got a good relationship, and I'm glad that we've got a good working relationship. Been here for 12 years, and I can't say we've always had that. So,
With that being said, I'll ask for unanimous consent to adjourn.